Hey there, team. It is your coach, Dallas Amsden. I am grateful that you are here with me. Welcome to the Defeating Depression podcast. We are going again. We're trying this today one more time. We're doing an audio version as well as a video version that's going to be available on YouTube through our website. But I'm excited that you are here. And right up front, before we do anything else, before any of our conversation today, you know what I'm going to say, right? It's time for us to get in the pocket. That's right. It's time for us to get into the present moment awareness, into the now, into the power that is available to you, not because of the depression and the pains of the past, not because the anxieties or the fears of the future. Now is our opportunity. Now is our moment to make a choice for power. And so wherever you are right now, you've heard me say this many times on the podcast, but wherever you are right now, I want you to take in a deep breath, look around your environment. If you are in your car, if you're at work, if you are at the gym, or if you are at home going for a walk, wherever you may be, breathe it in. And you're going to, as you exhale, you're going to say this phrase, I am here and I am powerful. That's so good. One more time. Do it with me again. Breathe it in and say to yourself, I am here and I am powerful. You are powerful, my friend. And in this place, I want to give you your mindfulness quote of the day. This actually comes from author Napoleon Hill. If you're familiar with that name, his famous book is called Think and Grow Rich. But Napoleon Hill was one of the fathers, you would say, of the mindset movement, self-help movement, the Zig Ziglar types, things like that. Napoleon Hill was in that group. And here's what he said, quote, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. End quote. Now, I kind of screwed that up a little bit, so I'm just going to say it to you again so you can hear it a little better. I'm actually going to move it where I can see it a little better as well here. But Napoleon Hill said, quote, every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit, end quote. That's so good. See, in this game we play with our mental health, where sometimes we're on the losing end, there's a lot of adversity we face, a lot of inner negative self-talk, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fatigue, a lot of just that inner voice taking place, a lot of feelings of failure, and definitely the sense of heartache. And Napoleon's words there are so beneficial to us to know that within those failures are the seeds of something greater. And what I want to talk to you about today is I actually want to talk to you about this idea of failure. Now, I'm going again without a guest today. We've got a few other guests lined up coming here in a few weeks, just to kind of tell you a little bit of business here on the front end, all right, before we get into this conversation on failure today. But the next couple of weeks, we're actually going to be running some highlights of this first half of the year from our interviews. Everybody from Joe Jardine, Helen Odesky, Leslie Carr. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. We're going to be running some highlights and clip shows for you so you can kind of get a refresher as we go into the second half of this year. And then we're going to be making some changes to the show as well. We're going to be going a little bit shorter of a format so that you guys can get it all in one drive to work, in one commute, as well as going to be a little more power-packed in our interviews, and just make sure that you get the maximum amount of content available to you. We're considering some other changes as well, and I want to invite you into that conversation. If you've been subscribing or if you've just started listening, I don't care. I want to hear from you. I want to get your feedback on what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show. If you say, Dallas, quit with the mindfulness moments, I probably won't do that one. I probably will keep doing those. But whatever it is that you might be saying, I want to hear from you. And the place to do that is actually in our Defeating Depression private Facebook group. So we have a Facebook group. It is a community of support and encouragement, and it's a private group that's available for you. All you got to do is answer a couple of questions to come in and join. But I want to invite you to join us on there. You can access it through our website, defeatingdepressionpodcast.com. defeatingdepression.com, Defeating Depression Podcast, all one word, all spelled out, .com. You can also just go to Facebook and look under the groups page and type in Defeating Depression or my name, Dallas Amsden, however you want to do that. You'll see that group that you can access it there as well. But again, this is a private community where we're talking to each other. I'm interacting with you, but I'm also asking feedback on what you want to see in the show going forward, more of, less of, etc. So I invite you to come do that. Also available on the website, as I always mention as well, every previous episode, all the show notes, all the links to our guest TEDx talks that some of them have done. That's all available in our website, defeatingdepressionpodcast.com, as well as other tools and resources. So be sure and take advantage of that, all right? So enough of the business side of things. Let's talk about why we're here today, and we're going to talk about failure. We're going to talk about this idea that failing is okay. And I know we've heard the cliches before. You know, we've heard the fail often. We've heard the Thomas Edison, I discovered 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb and things like that. We've heard that. And so while we're aware of it cognitively, emotionally, sometimes it still hurts to fail, doesn't it? Emotionally, and especially when we deal with things like anxiety and we deal with things like depression, failure is a trigger often into a downward spiral. It's into that pit, into that darkness, into that place where we feel as though this is just solidifying every negative thing I already thought of myself. But I'm going to have you consider today that failure is actually an amazing learning part of the process. And I've had an opportunity to fail a lot recently. I'm going to share a little bit of my recent story with you. I joined a CrossFit gym about 7 weeks ago. What I did was I accepted a CrossFit challenge of a local gym here, CrossFit Edwardsville. Shout out to Coach G, Coach Caroline, and all the awesome things they're doing there at CrossFit Edwardsville. But they did a 6-week challenge where you put down some, you're like, hey, I'm willing to bet that I'm going to see results. And I'm willing to show up during the 6-week challenge and do the workouts and follow the nutrition plan. You work with a nutritionist. It's a great program, especially for those of you who have been kind of tapping your toes on the edge of CrossFit and you said, boy, it looks like I want to get involved, but I'm not sure that I'm at the level. They do an awesome job of scaling, and every box, every CrossFit gym does this. They scale really well based on your level. So we have 55 and 65-year-old people in there. We have 25-year-olds in there, and everybody is achieving their level and pushing their level and trying to exceed their perceived maximum potential. So I've been circling the CrossFit world for a couple of years now. I've watched the CrossFit Games for multiple years and always felt like, boy, I really would enjoy CrossFit. But I never did it. I never tried it. Well, this 8 weeks ago, I decided, no, I want to try it. I took this challenge opportunity as a great way to say, I'm going to get access to a nutritionist. I'm going to get access to trainers and coaches who help me with some of the basic movements to prevent injury, things like that. And I did it. And it was an awesome challenge. I lost almost 17 pounds on the challenge. And for those of you who have listened for any length of time or listened to like the episodes with my wife and I, for me, my depression, when I would trigger, I would sedate through calories, through bad calories per se. My wife even jokingly called it at one point the great pancake sedation because I would just carb up in unhealthy ways to deal with the emotions that were unhealthy. So for me, getting my nutrition and my fitness in place was really great. And kind of locking it in with the coaches over those 6 weeks and them looking at my daily food journals and saying, hey, shoot for this, try for that, tweak this, etc. Just a great process. But here's what I've discovered with CrossFit. Again, no matter what level you're at, you're going to push your maximum potential. And I have done that. And there are some days I do it really well. And I walk out of there feeling like house o' fire. Like Dallas is on point. He's on fire. He's feeling awesome. He's feeling great. But then there's other times I walk into that box and I'm not quite on the mental game. And I experience a mental failure walking in some days. And it sometimes is the baggage I take into the box. Okay. And the box, by the way, again, the gym, it's sometimes the baggage I take into the workout with me. But amazingly, I have found that the more I face failure, the less daunting it becomes. And the more willing I am to fail, the more willing I am to learn from those fails as well. And so every day when I go to CrossFit, I actually face failure early every day. And it makes the other failures that I'm going to face throughout the day, the failures I might face in my business, the failures I might face in my relationships, whatever the other failures are, because I early in the morning go and say, no, I'm going to face my fear. I'm going to face my fail. I'm going to face muscle failure. I'm going to face mindset failure. I'm going to face technique failure. But because I face it, and sometimes I lose and sometimes I win, it's actually causing me to exercise that muscle, that adversity quotient, more and more. You've heard me talk about adversity quotient in the past, but just to remind you of what that is. So Dr. Paul Stoltz in the late 90s, he introduced this idea of adversity quotient, because historically what we would do is we would look at success indicators as IQ, intelligence quotient. How smart are you determines how successful you are. Number two, along then comes this idea of EQ, emotional quotient, and your emotional intelligence was the next level of success indicator. So you had your IQ first, and then you had your EQ on top of that. But what Dr. Paul Stoltz said was he came along and started talking about AQ. That is your adversity quotient. That is how much you have to overcome on a daily basis. The failures that you face on a daily basis actually allow you to get stronger. They actually allow you to build up more quotient, more strength of character, because you're facing that failure, and what you're doing is you're learning from that failure. You're actually facing that failure every day, and what you're saying is, I'm going to learn something here, and I'm going to grow because of it. When I hit that place of muscle fatigue, I'm going to grow because of it. When I hit that place of mental fatigue and mental failure, I'm going to learn from that. I'm going to reset, and I'm going to adjust, and I'm going to go again. And so Dr. Paul Stoltz, his book, Adversity Quotient, it's available on Amazon and all of those places. I highly recommend it. It's one of those books that a few years ago when I read it, I was like, oh yeah, that is the level that I've been missing, because I failed so often and I didn't know how to properly fail. Instead, I allowed, just as I said a few minutes ago, I allowed those failures to cause a downward spiral further into my depression, instead of, as John Maxwell would say it, failing forward, that my mistakes are a stepping stone to my success. I didn't fail in that way. I failed backwards. And so today I'm going to tell you a little bit about, I know that was a lot of preamble, but let's jump into it, right? I'm going to tell you about a tale of the fail just this week. So we had at the CrossFit gym, we had a cardio or aerobic capacity class, a cardio capacity class. And it was just a crap ton of running, and it was interval running. So it was like sprint for a minute, jog for 4 minutes, walk for a minute. Like it was just, you just kept your body moving, and it was outside. So I have always kind of for years have dealt with shin splints, and I hate running on concrete. But this whole class was running on concrete. And so that was on, I believe, Saturday. So later Saturday into Sunday, my shin splints were on fire. Icing them, stretching out my calves, trying to keep my ankles mobile. None of it was helping. It was literally like there were knives sticking into my shins. So painful. So I get to the box on Monday, and the workout, we're in kind of it doesn't matter. The workouts we're doing this week are a little less load heavy, and so today was more conditioning, and it was two particular exercises within the workout. One was running, more running on concrete after I had just done it the 2 days before, and I'm not a fan of it in the first place. And the other one was box jumps. So a lot of impact of the box jumps, and you can have your box at 20 inches, 24 inches, or 30 inches is typically the three box sizes you do. So doing those box jumps for 4 minutes, and you tried to get as many as you can, 35 to 55 within that 4 minutes. And then you would take a minute break, and then you would run 500 to 800 meters in the next 4 minutes, depending on what you could do. Minute break, box jumps again. I know this is a lot of details, but I need you to feel this. So I started with the box jumps. We had half the team started with running, half the team started with box jumps just because of size. So I start doing this box jump, and my shins are already on fire. And during the warm-up, they were like, dude, we hate you. And I said, I know, I'm not really a fan of the two of you either. And so the tale of a fail is this. I was 1 minute, not even 1 minute. I stared at that box as soon as the timer started. They crank up the music. Everybody's pumping, everybody's working, everybody's sweating. I'm looking at this box at 24 inches, I think is what I had mine at. And it seemed like it was 50 inches high. It was, mentally, I couldn't do it. Mentally, I was failing left and right. And I'm literally looking at this box, and it says Rogue on it. And I'm like, okay, just jump, Dallas. Do one jump. And I could see, the coaches could tell I was not into this workout today at all. They just could tell, all right? So I jump up the box the first time, boom, and both my feet land, and I step back down, and I jump up, and I step back down. And at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. And I got about 10 jumps in, and then it hit me like a wave of emotion it was like just a mental block again. And it hit me in such a way that I started tearing up in the middle of the workout. I don't think anybody saw me, but I knew it was happening. I was tearing up in the middle of the workout, and I'm looking at this box, and I literally couldn't do the jump. But it triggered all of these other failures in my life. It triggered places where I was failing in my business, places where I was failing in my relationships with my wife and my children. All of these other failures that were taking place in my life. And I literally just could feel the walls closing in on me as I was staring at this 24-inch box. So what did I have to do? I paused for a second. I heard the coach say, come on, Dallas, get back into it. Coach Austin was there. I love that there's a guy named Austin coaching me, Dallas. That's a side, by the way. But anyway, he's like, come on, Dallas, get back into it. I'm literally like, Dallas, just jump. Dallas, just jump. Inside, I'm like, Dallas, just jump. So I started jumping again, and I did. And I literally had to say to myself, present moment awareness, guys. I teach this, but I also have to practice it, and I don't always succeed at it. So I literally had to say, Dallas, it's just you in this box right now. Just do the next jump. Boom. And I jumped, and I landed. And I stepped down and said, next jump. Boom. And I jumped, and I landed. I was like, okay, you are here. Boom. Right now. Step down. All that matters, boom, is this box. Boom. Step down. Boom. Get on it. And I just started jumping, and I just took myself totally into the present moment, and I just was boom. Boom, step down. Boom, step down. Boom, step down. My pace started increasing a little bit. Boom, step down. And I knew I only had like 90 seconds left. And I just kept going. And then all of a sudden I heard my coach, one of our other coaches, she's awesome. Her name is Coach JJ. What I heard her say was, she was like, that's a great rhythm, Dallas. Keep it going. That's all I heard her say. And I just kept that rhythm going. And I just stayed in the present moment, because here's the great thing. When you decide in your life to face failure and to simply just go again, you will find yourself in this rhythm of success. It's a crazy thing. You literally fail until you succeed. Willie Jolly had this book years ago called "A Setback is a Setup for a Comeback." It's become one of those, truisms that takes place inside of self-help programs now. A setback is a setup for a comeback. But all you have to do, my friend, is get into the moment. Get into the present. Boom, take that step. Boom, I'm failing forward. Boom, every step, boom, is a stepping stone, boom, toward my success. That's all you have to do when you are in that place of mental fatigue, mental failure, muscle failure. And then when it came time to do the run, I just started running. And yes, my ankles hurt and my shins were on fire. I was one of the slowest people out there, but I literally was like, all you have to do is focus on the next step. And I just kept one foot in front of the other. I slow, but I go. is what I was telling myself. Just stay in it. And then came back in, and it was time to set up for the box jumps again. And immediately I faced every failure again. Boom. And I jumped. Boom. Took myself to the present. Boom. Just a stepping stone at a time, literally a box jump at a time. Because I had a choice right then, in the middle of the workout, at the beginning of the workout, and in the middle of the workout, and toward the end of the workout. I had a choice to fall backward or to fail forward. And that's what I want to leave you with, this idea today that you can't just fall backward. You can't fall backward or fall downward into the spiral. My friend, you have to fail forward. When you don't want to get out of bed, guess what? Yes, you feel like a failure when you don't want to get out of bed because of your depression. But you know what you do? You take that step out and you go and you do it. When you don't feel like going for that walk to just get that little bit of endorphins running from moving your body, you take the step. One step at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time. One of the young women in our private Facebook group this week was messaging about how all of these things were happening around her, and she's a high functioning depressive, as she has self-identified with us. She's a high functioning depressive, but what she does is she's like, nope. So I go to work. And I do the little thing in front of me, and I keep present moment awareness and mindfulness, because what it is it allows her to succeed. And when I checked in on her this week and I said, hey, thank you for posting that message last week. We encouraged you all then. How are you doing today? She's like, I'm doing so much better. I just kept moving forward. You know what Dory, the fish, would say, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep jumping on that box. Boom, boom. Boom, fail forward until you feel that boom, 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 beating in your heart toward success, my friend. And so there are things you can do practically to fail forward, all right? When you don't feel it, when you're feeling muscle fatigue, when you're feeling mental fatigue, when you're feeling that mindset failure, there's a couple things that you could do. You could trigger into not doing the work. You could trigger it toward inaction, right? You could trigger toward inaction, sedation, anxiety, fatigue, all of that stuff, and get your mindset going. Inaction will put you in a place of scarcity, but just failing forward will actually put you in a mindset of abundance. All right. These are not new terms. You guys have all heard me say this before. So you could move toward inaction, or you could build momentum toward positive action in your life. You could move toward negative self-talk, or you can begin to self-talk yourself correctly. You could move towards that expression, those expressions of anger and frustration about your current condition, or you can fail forward toward gratitude. All right, so those are the three things. We talked about this last week as well on the podcast. We talked about the 3 daily plays that you can make today in order to tackle your depression, to move the ball down the field in your life. Those same things still work today. They worked in last week's episode. They're going to work again for you. And there's actually a resource that I have available for you. It's called the Tackle Your Depression e-Guide. It's a download that is available for you. You would have thought I would have had it ready to go for you, but it's the Tackle Your Depression e-Guide. It's just a quick read, but it comes with a daily scorecard so that what you can do, and I'm going to show you what this is for those of you watching the video here. The Tackle Your Depression is the 3-point daily game, and all you're doing is you're setting your intention today. Here's what I'm going to do. For Dallas today, it was I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to go to the CrossFit gym, but I did. I was in my intention, and I did it. I wrote it down. Here's my intention. And then when I accomplished it, I was able to say, check, boom. I stepped up on the box today. I failed forward today, even though I didn't want to do it. I had the mental fatigue. I had the emotional fatigue. I had the physical fatigue. I literally was starting to cry in the workout, but I just kept failing forward because I set my intention. Then also the positive self-talk is so key to this. This is part of the Tackle Your Depression e-Guide. 3 points every day. Number 1, intention. What do we do every time I talk to you about intention? Intention is your will plus your action, right? It's saying this is what I'm going to do. This is what I am doing. And you do it. Will plus action equals intention. So every day, point number 1, you set your intention. Here's what I'm going to do. And then you do it. You get those points. Point number 2 is all about positive self-talk. Positive self-talk is so key, so crucial, because when you are failing, the biggest critic is going to be you. The biggest negative voice is not going to be the coach on the outside. it's going to be the critic on the inside. And so that's what you have to focus on. So inside the Tackle Your Depression e-guide, I teach you how to just quickly do a positive self-talk every day so that you can empower yourself with your own words to live for the win in your life. And then the third practice every day is gratitude. At the end of the day, you just take a moment and you're thankful for one thing. And even if it was that I failed forward today, what did I learn from it? And I'm grateful for that lesson that I learned in my failure. See, failure is only failure if you give up, my friend. Everything else is forward movement in your life. And you say, okay, I messed up. It's all right. But I'm grateful for the opportunity to mess up because it gave me an opportunity to learn. And from that place of learning, I am now in a place of power so that I can do it tomorrow with more intention, more power, more positive self-talk, and eventually be more and more grateful for the successes in your life. So again, I've got that resource available for you at the website. It's the Tackle Your Depression e-guide. The truth is those 3 points work if you're not dealing with depression, all right? They work. They work. Every day, set your intention for 1 to 3 things you're going to do. Earn your points when you do them. Step number 2, positive self-talk. Getting yourself excited about who you are. And then number 3 is end of day gratitude, saying, I'm thankful for this. Now, inside this 3-point game, there is a bonus point you get for exercise, for moving your body, for engaging yourself physically to get those endorphins going, to get that serotonin pumping in your brain, all that feel good stuff. But go. I want you to go download that e-guide, all right? Here's your call to action. Here's your positive play call. Every week we do a positive practical tip that you can do to tackle depression this week. Here it is. I want you to download that e-guide. If you haven't done it yet, do it. Go to defeatingdepressionpodcast.com, defeatingdepressionpodcast.com. Download the Tackle Your Depression e-guide. Come and join us inside the private Facebook group and start playing the game with me. Start playing the game with others. I'll put my points up there. Here's what I scored this week. Here's what I scored today in my Tackle Your Depression daily game. 3 points, 21 points a week, 28 if you play the exercise game. But how can you start winning? Well, you start scoring, right? That's the best way to win at life, is to actually score life. You don't just run the ball up and down the field and go, ooh, I think it feels like I'm winning. No. You actually score, and you track measured growth in your life. You track success. And you may be listening to this saying, Dallas, I'm not competitive. I disagree with you. If you like to win at, family game night, you're competitive. You might say, well, I don't want to gamify my life. I get it. Just maybe try it. See if it doesn't help you start to feel a little bit more positive dopamine in your life, a little bit more positive winning sensation, a little bit more like, yeah, okay, this did feel good to get my points today. I don't know. I'm not trying to say do it because I need you to do it. It's a free game. It costs you nothing. It's a free download. Join in the Facebook group. Costs you nothing. But I want you to start feeling that sense of winning in your life, my friends. So again, go to the website, defeatingdepressionpodcast.com. Download the Tackle Your Depression e-guide. Join me in the game on our Facebook group page, all right? That's all I got for you today. I want you to fail forward. I want you to think of, again, that adversity quotient that I talked about here, and that quote we had from Napoleon Hill, where he said, every adversity, every failure, every heartache, it carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. All right, now before I let you go, I want to pray for your 4 eyes. As always, every week, I'm going to pray for your 4 eyes. I'm going to pray that you increase this week. Number 1, in your insights. That is your revelation in what you're receiving this week. Number 2, I'm going to pray that you increase in your imagination of who you are and what is possible for you, my friend. Number 3, I pray that you increase in your intention. Get the e-guide, will plus action, intention. And then number 4, I pray that you increase in your impact with the world around you. That those of whom you influence, those of whom you love and affect, I pray that you would affect them positively in your impact. So again, may you increase in your 4 eyes, your insight, imagination, intention, and impact, my friend. If you're gaining value from this show, please share it forward. Share the YouTube video. Share the podcast link. I would love it for you to review us as well and let me know if things are working. But more importantly than sharing it, yes, sharing it's important because someone needs to hear this message today. But more importantly than sharing it, my friends, is I want you to join me in the game. I want you to go get the Tackle Your Depression e-guide at defeatingdepressionpodcast.com. Go get that e-guide. Join me in the private Facebook group page. Let's start winning together. All right? So go out there, my friends, live for the win, and have a championship day.